So this evening we are going to go and dream once again about Raja Ampat. Raja Ampat is, personally speaking, I have not been there yet. We have people, agents on staff that have and absolutely adore Raja. Everything I know about it is personally the top of my diving travel bucket list. I will make it out there one day, so I can't get enough about hearing about Raja Ampat. And we have Joe from Meridian Dive Adventures that is joining us this evening with a beautiful resort, a fabulous program. And I wanted to share that with you this evening. So without further ado, I will put you in the hands of Joe. Joe, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you for the welcome, and welcome everybody. I'm extremely excited to share a bit of Raja Ampat with you. I hope everybody can see the screen clearly. I'm just gonna fall right in. So I'm Joe, I'm at the resort. So I'm on the property in Raja Ampat, 9 a.m., beautiful sunny day. I'm not on the equator. It's actually super hot, but it's a lovely day here. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to take my video off while I show you the presentation, because we do have some, I don't want to have any problems. All right. Right. Welcome to Raja Ampat. So I'm from Meridian Adventure Dive. We are resort-based in Raja Ampat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and okay. So where is Raja Ampat? So for those of you who hasn't been to Raja Ampat before, you got Indonesia, and then Raja Ampat is located here in West Papua. So you get the Papua area over here. So we're a bit in the eastern parts of Indonesia. I put it into perspective. Raja Ampat literally means four kings. The four kings, there's a beautiful story about it, but the four main islands is the four kings that represents Raja Ampat. So you got Waigeo, which is the one that we are based on. It's this one over here. You also got Bantanta, Salawati, and Missul. So as we know, Raja Ampat is one of the most famous places to dive in the world because we are located in the heart of the Coral Triangle. So put in perspective, we are located, so this whole Waigeo Island here, we are down here in Waisai, which is the capital of Raja Ampat. It's literally just across the channel from Sorong. Just to give you an overview of where our resort is situated. Okay, so how did we get to Raja Ampat? So I've looked at a couple of flights from the US, and it's fairly easy to get to us. You could either, the best place of entry is to Jakarta. You can do a 1 or 2 layovers, Tokyo, Singapore, Istanbul, Dubai. There's a couple of really, really great flights. Because then from Jakarta, you've got the most direct flight to Sorong. And the idea is here in Sorong, you want to be landing early in the morning. So there's 2 flights that I would recommend coming in from Jakarta to Sorong, which is in the early hours, because we then from Sorong to Waisai is the ferry, and we've just got brand new ferries. They look amazing. So the ferry is twice a day. It operates 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. So between Sorong and us. So it's best if you catch that 9 o'clock ferry, so landing in Sorong nice and early, catch the 9 o'clock ferry at the resort by lunchtime. You can just jump in and already go diving that afternoon. That's the dream. So just to tell you a bit about our resort, we are a PADI 5-star resort. Our focus is modern, simple, and clean. We've got 30 rooms at the resort. There's a a picture of the rooms over here. They're about 15 square meter, and they all module style rooms. So they're actually upcycled containers that was all put in place. We've got double or twin bed. We've got a private ensuite bathrooms, hot water, of course. We've got 24-hour AC running and daily housekeeping. Room amenities is just basically your standard room amenities. Fresh drinking water in your room, which is great. We've got some on-site water refreshment stations as well. And Wi-Fi, of course, during the whole resort. So if you have a look at this picture over here, it's our lovely swimming pool. This is our restaurant and bar area, and then we have the actual rooms of the hotel right behind there. So if you look at the swimming pool over here, lovely garden area, then we actually stretch into a marina, and right over there is the ferry port, just super close to our resort. Okay, food and beverage. So just gonna have a quick view about our on-site restaurant and bar. Our restaurant it's an a la carte menu. It combines a little bit of international and local flavors. Our biggest thing is we do not want to compete with the local restaurants because there's quite a few lovely restaurants in town. So for us, we prefer, or we use the homegrown fresh produce. It's possible. We just newly installed our hydroponic system. Super excited. And if not, then we buy local fresh produce in town. So from breakfast to lunch to dinner, cocktails and canapes, we've got it all. And then our bar area, so we've got a fully licensed bar. We're about the only resort on the island that offers alcohol. I will show you the local restaurants, as they are beautiful and they light up in the night. They are about 5 to 10 minutes away from the resort. So being located in the capital, the town can taxi or scooter 5 minutes away. Some of the great meals, like my favorite, is of course the whole grilled, the red snapper. But yeah, if you're more into local food, then we do encourage all guests to go try the local town. Just a few overview of the resort as well. We've got over here what we call our sunset deck. The sunset right over here. So this one and this one gives you a really nice overview of, we do have dinners out there, maybe a romantic evening out there. Barbecues, which we do enjoy. We offer for groups, individuals. This is a mangrove, we call our Mangrove Terrace, which is an extension to the restaurant. A couple of bean bags for relaxation. We've got a pool table, some darts. We've also got a relaxation station, we call it, which is out on the sunset deck over here. So if you would like to book massages. The camera station. So the camera station, we've got the camera station. So I've got a washing area for your camera. We got fresh filtered water here. And then we've got the drying rack over here and the cabinets with a key to lock your valuables in as well. Just a bit of overview of the Mad Bar, Marine Adventure Dive Bar, and this is people having fun. Awesome. All right, so the diving. We get the question about Raja Ampat, when to dive it, and frankly, it's great all year around. Being in the central of Raja Ampat, we don't have really seasons, super close to the equator. We don't get any monsoons, as I know there's people out there thinking we do. The ocean conditions are very stable all year round. We say that we've got two seasons. We've got a manta season and we've got a shark season. So our mantas, they come and visit us October to about April, and then the rest of the year we just got our sharks. So a sample itinerary. So day one is normal check-in, just orientation for everybody, getting the equipment, checking the dive boats out. Then we do diving in increments of 2. So normally we'll start off early. Early dives are normally the best. So we'll go out, the dive sites ranging like about 5 to 45 minutes, depending on the site. So we'll go out to the first dive. We do an hour dive, and then we'll do a surface interval, about an hour surface interval, and we'll do the second dive, which will also be an hour. And then back to the resort for lunch, for relaxation, charging some cameras, and we'll depart again for the afternoon. You'll see always increments of 2 dives, or either just 2, or we've got the 4 dives. So dive sites in our area, we've got about 103 listed here, but being super fortunate in Raja Ampat, we've got more than 200. I'd say more than 200 dive sites right here on our doorstep. To give you an overview of the amount of dive sites we've got access to. Like I said, the duration to the sites depends really on where you go. We've got 5 to 45 minutes, 50 minutes to a site. The variety of sites is also, it's great because there's really something for everybody. Most of the dive sites, they start off super shallow, and then you have the option of either staying shallow or it also goes to depth. And there's something for everybody. We like to mix it up as well. So if we have the first dive of the morning, maybe focusing on the bigger items. So you got our mantas, your big schools of barracudas, and then perhaps for the second dive, we'll focus more on the coral, on the macro. No 2 dives are ever the same. This is very true. And honestly, from beginner to experienced, every dive can be dived by any diver. All right. To give you an overview. So this is Waigeo. So this is the main island we are on, and we are right here in Waisai. And all of this is basically our playground. Sonic Bondi coming up first here. This dive site is about 5 to 7 minutes from the resort. Started off. Then you got the lovely channel in here. The famous Kri Island, the Manswar Islands. Beautiful dives all along here. We go down all the way to Bantanta as well. So there's lovely in this archipelago here, some really good dives. Up into the Kabui Bay, we call it. Stunning dives in here. There's a beautiful passage that separates this island from this one. Lovely dive, as well as a drive through. We got our Yangalo area. So this area over here is kind of where your mantas come from. So our mantas comes all the way from the north, making their way here. Pianimo. This is about the famous viewpoint. Like, you know, when you Google the Raja Ampat, you see all those iconic islands. This is here. And there's some spectacular dives out there. The Farm Islands. Okay. So, as I've said, there's quite a few dive sites just on our doorstep. But I just wanted to share some of my favorites with you. Melissa's Garden being one of them, which is this insane underwater field of garden. It's as far as you can see. You have the staghorn coral. You have this guy. It's a shallow dive, so you go about 7 meters max. But as far as you can see, you just have staghorn coral. And of course, your Pontoy Pygmy Seahorses for our macro lovers. So Wandarek Jetty, this is probably my favorite. I call it Turtle City. So the hawksbill turtle, we see, I would say about 3 or 4 on every single dive at Sawandarek, and I'm talking big ones, maybe 1.5 meters to 2 meters. Very spectacular to dive with. New Reef is what we call our hidden gem. It's a sea mountain, so basically like a big pinnacle, and it's we start off the dive just off the pinnacle, and there's this amazing sandy patch with the garden eels. And we've got hundreds of these garden eels just sticking their head out of the sand. And then we make our way around the pinnacle, and we get to see big schools of Faciliers, all different colors. I've got the yellow here, but they come in the gray and the blue. Spectacular. Manta Ridge is probably the most reliable spot to see the mantas. Again, in season, of course. We got the black tip, we've got the black mantas, and we got the oceanic mantas as well. Got a picture here. And normally we have maybe about 10 to 20, 25 of them will just come and play in our bubbles. I think they really enjoy the bubbles we blow out, tickles their belly. So it's a good site for mantas. Mayhem is lovely pinnacle, which is close to the resort. I took a guest there just on this Saturday that passed now, and we had this competition about who could spot the most wobbegong sharks, and I think in the end it was about 9. So this is the wobbegong shark. She's the one we get in Raja Ampat. Truly spectacular one to see. Manswar Jetty, it's excellent for seeing sharks. So black tip reef sharks, also get to see your white tip reef sharks over there. It starts off shallow, it's quite a shallow slope, and then it does go into the deeper. But because the jetty, there's a village just behind the jetty, which basically attracts all the sharks, because the locals, so they cut their fish when they go fishing off the jetty. And you're always guaranteed to see really, really cool big sharks there. The equipment. So we do offer well-maintained equipment. We've got aqualung, all of them. Also the facility, we've got a compressor system, which is it's quite handy to have. We can fill about 60 cylinders in 40 minutes. So just for that turnaround time, if we're doing that 4 dives a day, it makes it really efficient. We've got all 12-liter cylinders, they aluminium, of course. We had nitrox was in our plan for setup in 2020, but obvious reasons, this investment is just on hold for now. So we've got normal air cylinders. You can get an overview of our equipment, our dive storage over there. I'll touch base on our boats. Our boats is customized dive boats, which also it's extremely comfortable to sit on. It's really unique to any other land-based resort in the area, which gives us that bit more of a flexibility to go a bit further, or to access more sites and longer range sites. So if you can have a look here, put about 32 cylinders on them. So comfortable to do 2 dives with them. The moment we put 10 guests, about max, on a boat, because you don't want to be too close to your friend next to you. Got a lot of space. It's quite comfortable. And of course, the engines, which is 4-stroke, is ultra low emissions. It was excellent fuel efficiency, which is great for being in paradise. Safety equipment, I want to touch on, it includes pontoon repair kits, toolkit, double action pumps, 2 paddles, but the console equipment. So we've got our chart plotters, got a compass right over here, VHF radio, of course, if you need to talk to the resort. We've got Dan oxygen kit on board. We've got fire extinguishers on board, a whole capsize canister with your flares, life jackets, of course. We also 2 USB ports, just to charge that camera battery or to charge that phone on the way. We've got ladder to make it easy on and off the boat. Activities. So being located in Waisai, we're quite fortunate to have a lot of other activities really close to the resort. So during surface intervals, so like I mentioned, we normally do your 2 dives. We go out for 2 dives. So when we do the surface interval between the 2 dives, we'll go to the closest beach or to the closest jetty. We'll have some coffee, tea, have some fresh fruit, just to have you can have a snorkel, you can walk along the village, you can have a tan session on the beach, just to see some more culture as well. They've got some curio shops on some of the islands, which is great. The hidden sandbank is one of our favorite surface intervals as well. It's only visible during low tide. I'm going to walk on it, take the pictures. Birds of paradise. This is really great for like a last day activity. So if you can't dive before you fly, either sunrise or sunset, you can do a tiny hike and see these beautiful creatures. Oh, Raja Ampat's got lots of waterfalls. From on the main island, we've got them down in the Bantanta, we've got them in the Gum area. So the Pianimo viewpoint, spoke about a bit earlier as well. So the iconic Raja Ampat picture. We like to combine this also because there's spectacular dive sites. So over here, you've got Melissa's garden, which I spoke about the staghorn corals, which is amazing. So if we're in the area, I just recommend to all the guests, let's hike up and let's go take a picture. The Blue River is also a really, really recommended activity on your last day. The whole experience to the Blue River is just amazing. So you take this taxi, then you take the local boat, and you have to walk a little bit, and you get to this crystal clear ice cold spring water, which is beautiful because it's so hot in Raja Ampat all day. Village visits, of course, we've got a few villages on the island, and on the main island we're on, as well as on the smaller islands. It's a nice activity to do. Pearl Farm. We've got the South Sea Pearls in Raja Ampat. There's about 5 pearl farms in the Raja Ampat area. And they do really nice presentations. So we can go to the pearl farm. They show you how they actually maintain the oyster, how they prepare the nucleus, until the end to get the pearl out. Paddle boarding is to reach those hidden gems. It's really nice if you go but up to a secluded area, and then where the boats can't go no further, we grab the paddle boards and we go and explore some gems and show some more of Raja Ampat. wanted to touch base on Homestay Experiences. So we have partnered with a few homestays in the area, where we're basically helping the local community, where we bring the tourist to them. So accommodation is then provided by your homestay hosts, and you get 3 lovely meals a day. What Meridian does, what we do, we take you to the homestay and we go pick you up as well. And then we come and take you for 2 dives every day. So we'll come, pick you up, take you for 2 dives, drop you back off at your homestay. Conservation efforts. So I wanted to touch base as well. We just got our Paddy Green Star Award. Super excited about that one. Events we do in the area, we do conduct regular cleanups. We do dive against debris. Sure, we've adopted a dive site. It's about 1.5 years now. Every month we go and collect data on the site that we've adopted. Crown of Thorns over here. So we also do a monthly crown of thorn removal if we find them. Do a removal. Or food and beverage. No plastic straws, the silent killer. We've got water stations provided throughout the resort. We wish to not have plastic bottles, especially in the beautiful area we are. We do grow our own produce, or we get it from the local market. In diving, so we've got the low emissions 4-stroke engines on our dive boats. Basically just mean the fuel efficiency is quite good, so less in the air. Use of engines are super limited, especially while we're diving. No anti-fouling, which is a poison to the underwater world. Our boats are lifted, no barnacles on the hulls. Environmentally friendly products to maintain the boats as well as the dive equipment. We do take a mesh bag on every dive and encourage guests dive against debris. If they do find any debris on a dive, we'll just throw it into the mesh bag. A reef safe sunscreen is enforced at the resort on the boats. At the resort, we do a collection of rainwater, and we have a water treatment plant for everyday use, and no chemicals are used in this process to break the water down. Grey and black water treatment as well. Mangrove and beach cleanup days. The resort is basically situated in between the mangroves. I like to plant the mangroves. We've got a really nice project happening there. Okay, so with our resort, like I said, being nestled behind one of these mangrove forests, we have a daily boat taxi that does 3 trips from the resort to this Sour Neck Island, which is a short 5-minute drive from the resort. So, if you have your guest that wants to have that beach afternoon experience, just go swimming, snorkeling. The snorkeling is quite nice here. I also enjoy this reef. Is my favorite night dive. Night dives are spectacular in our area. We got octopus and sharks. Right. Wow. This was short and sweet. Thank you so much for listening to the presentation. I'm super keen to answer any questions if there is any questions. Maybe Cheryl or Harry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was a lovely presentation. Some beautiful images there, ready to escape. So, let's see. Everybody's pretty quiet here this evening. For those of you that aren't used to the drill with us, Zoom in the chat box allows you to raise your hand. We prefer that just because we'd like you to talk to our hosts one-on-one. We tend to keep the mics muted just because it helps with bandwidth when presenters are, especially when they're presenting like Joe is from somewhere very, very far away. We try and keep the precious bandwidth so that they don't cut in and out. But we will unmute your mic if you would like to talk to her directly. So the best thing is we invite you to raise your hand in the chat box. But if you're shy or you don't have a working microphone, you're welcome to type it in the chat or the Q&A box, and we will ask that question for you. Steve and Tricia Hoy, you do know the drill, and you are on with Joe.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Cool. So we're going to get one price. I'd like to know what's included in that price. I imagine the air is rental equipment. Is that included? Or food at the resort? Is that included?
Yes. So in the price included is bed and breakfast. So breakfast is included. Lunch and dinner would be either a la carte or in the local town, and all equipment is included. So your air, full equipment set, rig, BC, down to fins, wetsuit, mask, snorkel. It's a full inclusive of equipment.
Cool. Thank you.
The proximity, the nice thing about Meridian is you want to go into town and you want to have an authentic experience and mix with the locals and eat local. Meridian is set in that sort of location where you can do that. So that's why they start with a bed and breakfast plan if you want to go out and experience some of the local cuisine and eating at different local restaurants. Of course, if you would rather eat on site every day, you could do a meal plan or like Joe said, just do a la carte and kind of pay as you go, just depending on how you feel as far as your dining.
Okay, I have one more question, if I could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the flight from Jakarta to Sorong, is that, if I bring all my gear, how many kilos can I actually take per person?
Answer this one. If you bring your equipment from the flight from Jakarta to Sorong, normally it's 20 kilograms. If you can show your scuba equipment, you're allowed another 10 kilograms. So you've got 30 in total.
That's fantastic. That's the best in the world.
Great.
Thanks, Joe. That was great. Thank you.
Great. Okay, cool. Like you can't just show them your mask and be like, hey, I need another extra 10 kgs. You gotta show the good stuff. You gotta take out the regulator, the BCD there.
Yeah. We can do that. That's very good though. I can take everything then in that case. Okay. What do you usually go with, a 3 mil?
Yes,
Joe?
3 millimeter long suit is the best.
No shorties?
Yes.
Nobody uses a shorty.
We do have some jellyfish.
Okay.
There's those small items. So they sting and it's a stinger for about 2 to 5 seconds, but we do have them. But we do have other guests that just goes in with boardies. I really envy those divers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a long suit diver myself. It's really up to you. The water is warm, so we're talking 30 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
The water is warm. Celsius is about 86 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's hot.
So you won't be cold on your day. It's really just those small critters that can just give you a small sting.
Right.
But 3 millimeters is enough.
Does that answer everything, Steve?
No, yeah. I did have one more. I just don't like to be greedy.
Right now, nobody else has their hands up, and you're more than welcome anyway. So ask away.
Do we have mosquitoes or flying stingers in the resort, on the beach? Do you spray? Do you, I mean, are there things that can actually do me damage?
Yes, we do have. We've got only the mosquitoes at night. That's about the most. We don't have malaria mosquitoes. We just got our normal small ones. We do light up citronella every night at the resort. It does help to keep them away, but just to spray around the ankles and you're good. You're good to go.
Good.
I enjoy the ankles. But mosquitoes, that's as harmful as it comes.
Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure.
I got one last one.
Go for it, Steve.
Okay, what is Manta season?
Oh, Manta season. Manta start October, late October, beginning November, and then they stay with us until April,
Oh, wow.
beginning of March. So about, I would say, confirmed November to March to be sure.
Sounds good.
Yes. And you could, I mean, we've got dedicated Manta sites, which is protected areas where you're only allowed 10 divers at a time on these Manta specific sites. But then we actually incur them everywhere on all dive sites in the channel.
Right.
It was awesome. You just be chilling there, looking at a barracuda, and you're like, Manta. Crazy.
Cool.
Oh.
But is it, you swap out the mantas for the sharks, basically? If you do manta season, then you don't necessarily see sharks, or do you still see some sharks during manta season?
You see sharks during Manta season. You
Okay.
do. You do. Sharks are around all, is all year round. Your wabbagong, which is quite unique to our area, the tasseled wabbagong, and then our reef sharks. Yes. Any other questions? Do you want to be?
Steve, anything else?
Yeah, any whale shark?
Whale sharks, not in Raja Ampat. I've yet to see one. We do have whales. We've got the pilot whale. Don't see them underwater, but we do see them right when you enter from the resort and you're on your way to a dive. You do see dolphins and pilot whale sharks. Whale sharks, unfortunately, they haven't made it to us yet.
Lovely.
Got that one.
Steve, they're not banging down the door to ask questions. You got anything else?
No, I think I'm maxed out here, but
All right.
how expensive is the Jakarta flight from Los Angeles? I'm sorry. Are we talking $2,000?
No, I would say less than that. I would say less. I mean, maybe like if you budgeted for that, then you wouldn't be disappointed. But a lot of the time, I think we could get it down lower than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it. I mean, right now with Corona, everything is, there is no normal. But I mean, I've got people from the Midwest and Chicago area with a connection for about 1,400. That's probably the most recent airfare that I've done. I would suspect LA would be less. I mean, sometimes you pay a little bit more just because you are going direct from a gateway, but I would not. I would expect no more than about 1,500 and probably less depending on the airline and the schedule and all that good stuff.
Does that go all the way to Sarong?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No. I'm sorry. Last time I did that, I apologize, but I did that for a group. So I did that through to Jakarta, and then the hop we did separate on Air Garuda from Jakarta to Sarong, and we bought the scuba package that Joe mentioned. So it was a little bit more with the flight from Jakarta to Sorong, but then that got you the higher luggage allowance. And we like Air Garuda. There's a couple of airlines, but we personally are fans of Air Garuda.
Mhm. Well, that luggage allowance is worth its weight in gold.
Oh, absolutely.
If I could bring everything, I would be. Well, it is. It's so tough these days.
Yeah.
Huh?
It is. It is.
What about, is Jakarta worth seeing? Would I want to stop there a couple of nights?
Joe, you have more experience than I do. How do you feel about that?
No, I'm going to say no. Max,
Right.
if you wanted to stay the night, there is some really good nightlife, but also the traffic from the airport just to get into Jakarta, oh, you're looking at an hour to 2 hours. It's not really worth it. There's not anything I would want or can recommend to go and see there.
Okay.
Besides, they do have really good restaurants, or they've got some really good nightlife. That's about it. I think just the hack of actually getting from the airport into the actual center of Jakarta is not worth it.
Right.
I have a lot of clients that will do it one time, like if they've got a stopover in there anyway, and it makes sense to either because flights the way they've landed or what have you, they'll build in a day trip. We can have someone pick you up and take you around, and you can choose from a couple of different tours. Anyone that I've set it up for doesn't regret doing it because you're out there and it's your opportunity to see Jakarta. But for those that go back, they don't tend to go and do any more tours the second time.
Right.
So they're like, well, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And then if they've got a stopover, they'll chill at the pool and hang out at the hotel and probably avoid the traffic. So
Right.
I wouldn't put you off if you've never been to Jakarta and you've got the time. I wouldn't necessarily build the time in to see Jakarta. You know, you want to build the time in to relax and hit the jet lag, but I wouldn't necessarily build in a stopover to hang out in Jakarta for a couple of extra days. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Is it easy to get from Bali to Sorong? I'd probably have to go through Jakarta, right?
Yeah, at the moment, Bali, you have to stop over in Makassar. There's no direct flight from Bali to Sorong.
Okay.
Anything. You'll either have to go Bali, Jakarta, Sorong, or you have to go Bali, Makassar, Sorong.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All
I
right.
see there's two questions.
Yeah, it's Mark. It's Mark. He's also got his hand out, so we're just going to have him. He's on the mic. So, Mark, you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, yeah. I think I had asked something about if there's dive accidents, what happens? You know, what facilities are available? What do you normally do?
Yes. So if anything had to happen out on the dive, so we've got long-range VHF radios. We can radio straight to the resort at if we are about an hour, just about an hour's reach from the resort. So we'll radio in first to the resort. We always have an EFR instructor on board all vessels that goes out. We do have first aid on board, and we do have dive oxygen. So we've got the DAN O2 kit on board as well. So we'll make our way back to the resort. The resort would already know that something has happened by this stage, and they'll have a taxi on standby. The hospital, there is a hospital in Waisai. It is 7 minutes from the resort, and it actually has got a decompression chamber as well. We do have one on the island.
Nice.
Yeah. So first, we'll go soon to the hospital. The doctor would look at you there. If it is anything more serious, then we'll have to escort you to Sorong. So then our boat is pretty much the fastest in the area. So then we'll have to take you straight to Sorong.
What can you tell me about the local culture?
Oh. So we've got, being in Papua, we've got the Papuan culture. We've got a mix of religion. We've got like half Muslim, half Christian. The locals, friendly, the most friendly people you've ever experienced. A smile goes far away. The English is extremely limited, almost no English on the island, because we don't see as much tourists as places like Bali or Jakarta, for example. The culture for the Papuans is a bit different to the rest of Indonesia as well. They're more shy. They talk very, very softly, but they like to welcome you into their houses, and they love to take photos with you as well. So if you'd be walking in the town, very friendly, they'll ask you to take photos with you. They'll just want to take pictures. They'll offer you some food. Great, it's great. Or offer you something to drink. And very safe on the island. I take, for example, for me, I've been living here for 3 years now, and I can go walk at night by myself, no problem. If the local sees you, they'll wave, they'll say hello to you. Friendly, shy, very open to tourists. Food is great. The food is great, spicy. You like spicy food.
Sounds nice.
Is that answer?
Yeah. I didn't know what's the local name. Do they have the local culture on the island? I mean, what is that called? And I'm just curious.
Well, cool. They refer to themselves as Papuans, not as Indonesians.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like Waigeo is that the name of the culture or something? I was just curious. My wife's Indonesian,
well,
so but she's from the other end.
Okay. Well, from the eastern side. From the western side. No, I mean, we are situated on Waigeo Island, but no, they just refer to themselves as Papuans.
Oh, okay. That sounds fantastic.
Some of the, yeah, even like some of our staff, they got a slightly different dialect. Of course, as in most areas in Indonesia, some of the locals have, adapted their dialect a little bit. Still speak Bahasa in general, but there's some other smaller words that they've got amongst themselves.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. We do have someone, Joe, that asked, I think they're a little bit shy. Anonymous attendee has asked, besides the large animals you mentioned, what other interesting or unique marine life is there to see?
So, if we start with the bigger items first, besides, so we've got the mantas in season. A lot of people come here. Barracudas, schools of about 30 to 40, about a meter long barracudas. Travelis, the GTs, giant travelis, big schools, or you see them on every dive. And we got the rays. We also got the devil ray and the spotted, the eagle ray. We do encounter as well. Dugongs, which actually you should. I just took an awesome video 2 weeks ago. Encountered a dugong on one of the dives, which is basically like a manatee, but it's not a manatee. The same family. There are quite a few dugongs in Raja Ampat, and they're actually one of the endangered species. I was looking online, and first you can't find really much on them, besides that they stay shallow. They have one pup every 5 years, and then you get the crocodiles that eats them. But there's very limited of them left in the world. I got distracted. Okay. Schools of fish. Because of the coral, it's so rich. So you've got all this heaps of colorful coral, and then you just got, there's not a single dive where there's not big fish on it, or big schools of small fish on it as well. The other really cool stuff for macro is, of course, the Pygmy Seahorses, just because they're so hard to spot, and once you see them, it's awesome. We've got lots of nudibranchs, so I'm quite excited. The garden eels is really cool to see. The wobbegong sharks is obviously cool to see as well. I was going to say the pipefish, ghost pipefish, octopus, big ones, small, blue-ringed octopus. What else we got? Oh, we do see some mackerel as well underwater, which is and some big tunas. But it's of more smaller items. Eel, or something else. Clamps as well, electric clamps. Oh, incredible. Lots of crabs. We also do, like I mentioned, night dives is also really cool. If I don't know if people are really into night dives. But I would definitely recommend doing at least one night dive when you do come out all this way. See something different.
Lovely. Lovely. You have one of the most diverse regions underwater in the world, right? On the planet where you are.
Yes. We are so fortunate. It's also, like you say, you dive the same dive site, maybe in the morning and maybe the next day in the afternoon, and it'll be completely different. It is spectacular. It's insane. Yes, like every dive is alive. It's like there's the coral, obviously. The coral is just heaps everywhere. We've got lots of soft and hard coral. And then you dive like this because you're like, you don't want to miss the small stuff here, but you've got like all this fish here. So you literally like not want to miss anything, which is also a question that's always hard for me to answer is which camera setting do I use on this dive? Because every dive you can see 15 small stuff, but you can also see 5 schools of big stuff. This is hard.
Right.
That's probably the thing.
Got everything going on all on one dive. Mark Yoda, you had your hand back up. You're unmuted.
Yeah, I was just curious, on the land, are there any nature trails, and is there anything interesting in the rainforest there to see?
Yes, the birds. Other land animals, not really anything to see, but we've got the bird of paradise, the Wilson bird, the woolly wagtail is quite popular in the local community because it talks to you. So if you whistle to it, it whistles, and it's said to bring good luck if you do see it. So land-based animals, birds, definitely, which is great morning. So you got to go super early. You got to catch that sunrise, or you got to go at sunset. Obviously, being on the equator, same all year around. Sunrise is 6:30, sunset 6:30. All year. Yeah. So obviously, and then during the day it gets hot. We're on the equator, it's humid. So hiking trails, there is not very long ones. So you would have max and you mostly encounter birds.
You were breaking up there a little bit. Did you say there's
Oh, no.
a short trail? Did you say you were breaking up a little bit?
Oh, sorry. Yes, let me try that again. There is short trails for hiking. Again, it is best to go either early morning or best to go in the evening times. Just because it does get super hot during the day. So you'd have trails starting from either 30 minutes up until about 2 hours. So and these trails all would lead to see the birds of the area, the birds of the area. But walking in the forest is great. So you've got about between 5 a.m. to about 9:30, 10 a.m. before it gets extremely hot. So those would be, and then evening you've got by 4 up until about 7 p.m. to also have some really nice hikes. Is it a bit more, could you hear me there? Clear, all right. Fab.
Breaking up a little bit there, Joe. So sorry about that. We'll try. Stephen Tricia Hoy has another question, and hopefully, Mark, that answered your question. I know we've got a little bit of lag going on there that I think maybe we've had. We got graced with enough internet as we could from Indonesia, so we might be losing Joe there. There are some cultural and natural things to do, paddle boarding and kayaking. There's mangroves, and I'm sure there's a village tour, especially with homestays and things like that. I would expect cooking classes as well. That would be a fabulous experience topside. And I was going to say something else, but I've forgotten what it was. Well, there's some ideas of some topside stuff. So village visits, things like that, right there that you could do topside to experience some of Raja Ampat when you're not diving. Stephen Tricia Hoy, your hand is up. You are on.
I got to say the homestay aspect sounds absolutely fantastic. It's a really nice idea, and I'd really like to do that. But my question is, when is the rainy season?
Good question. Good question. It's also hard to answer. Being here 3 years, it varies so much. But I would say we do probably see the most rainfall in December. November, December, and January. But then again, you'd have rain in the morning, perhaps, and then sun comes out in the afternoon, or otherwise. You'd have the sun in the morning and you'd have the rain in the evenings. It's very seldom that you'd have the entire day just raining upon you.
Right. What's the visibility like?
Very quickly.
Visibility after it's rained? Hello, Joe. Visibility?
Still, the visibility is still good. Okay. I would say, yes, correct. An average of 15 to 20 meters on a rainy day. Where non-rainy day, it's slightly more. It'll go down to about 15 on a rainy day.
Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to see the mantas and kind of avoid the rainy season, best time to come would be February, March, April, right?
That is correct. Yes. Okay. Yes, that is the ideal time to come.
Thank you.
For the mantas, not a lot of rain. Pleasure. Oh, pleasure.